My husband asked my sister to pretend to be his wife, then sleeping with her. When I asked, they couldn't deny it. I walked away with a revenge plan. Ryan dropped bombs like he wanted me to pass salt. I prepared pasta for supper after a 10-hour day at the company because Ryan stated he was too weary to cook after being home since 3. I kept munching because I thought I misheard him say, "So, my 8-year reunion is next month and I need Emma to come with me." I was twirling spaghetti on my fork. Emma, my younger sister, was beautiful than me. 12 pounds smaller and unemployed for 2 years since she was on my dime. Paid her rent. Paid her auto insurance. I paid for her 6-week highlights since dark roots made her feel insecure. I didn't understand I was paying for her to attend my husband's high school reunion. After swallowing my noodles, I said, "Why would Emma be coming to your reunion?" Ryan didn't glance up from his phone. "Because I need her there," he continued, explaining everything. I put my fork down and waited for him to expand since this statement certainly had more to it. It wasn't. He scrolled through any app he liked more than me. "Ryan," I started, and he looked up with the face he often had when I was ready to bother him with questions. "Why do you need my sister at your high school reunion instead of your wife?" He sighed like I was tired, like I said something ridiculous over spaghetti. "Because I told everyone I married her," stated. "Back when we first started dating, my buddies met her once at that barbecue and they assumed she was my girlfriend. I never corrected them." I watched him. I continued watching him. I anticipated his laughter and joking. Where this became a bizarre joke I didn't like but could call humorous. The part never arrived. "You told your friends you married my sister," I said gently to be sure I heard him. "It's not a big deal," he remarked, taking up his fork like we were done. "It was easier than explaining. And honestly, babe, you know how those guys are. They're shallow. They remember Emma being hot and they've spent 8 years thinking I locked that down. I can't show up with someone different and explain that actually, I married the other one. The other one. I was law school's top student. I partnered at 33. The house, automobiles in our driveway, and all Ryan's furnishings were mine. And I was another. Because I kept my voice steady despite feeling chilly in my chest. Stayed calm. I was fair. Made no scenes. So, your solution, I add, is to bring my sister as your fake wife to a reunion full of people I'll never meet, and I'm supposed to just be okay with that." Ryan took my hand across the table, consoling me in my bewilderment. He responded, "It's one night," squeezing my fingers. "Nobody will ever know. These people don't matter. I'll make it up to you. I promise. We'll do a nice dinner after. Just us. Whatever restaurant you want." His blue eyes used to make my stomach flip. I recognized what should have been clear years ago. He felt I was foolish. He assumed I'd do anything for a great supper since I was anxious to please him. Worse, he was probably right. From the moment we met, he taught me to accept less. "I don't know, Ryan," I responded. I saw his expression go from appeal to annoyance in barely a second. "It just feels weird. Why can't you just tell them the truth?" Pulling back his hand. "Because I've been lying for 8 years, Sarah. What am I supposed to say now? Hey guys, funny story. I actually married her boring older sister who works all the time. That's humiliating. Boring, older, works all the time." Each statement hit me like a tiny blow in the chest, yet I never responded. I just accepted it and went going. I played that role in this marriage. Provider, absorber, other. Ryan said, "Emma already said yes. She's excited about it. She said it sounds fun." I blinked. "You already asked her before asking me?" Shrugging. I needed to make sure she was available first. Logistics. My sister volunteered to play my husband's wife. I gave everything to my sister, who I'd financially supported for 2 years and phoned me weeping every month about how terrible her life was. Big sisters did that. She agreed without phoning me. Ryan must have noticed something in my face because he melted into his signature faux worry. "Babe, don't be upset. Emma said you should be flattered that she's willing to help. She's doing this for us, for you really. So I can network and maybe finally land something better than that cashier job you're always complaining about." I didn't criticize his cashier work. I was upset that he'd quit 4 cashier positions in 3 years because his superiors didn't appreciate him. I was frustrated about funding his life while he decided what to be when he was 34. However, I became unsupportive. I blamed myself for everything. Ryan remarked again one night, observing me carefully to determine how much further he needed to press. "Nobody gets hurt and then we never talk about it again." "Okay." I nodded. I let Emma play Ryan's wife at his reunion for one night. I convinced myself it was innocuous, simply an awkward lie he needed help hiding. However, Emma's rapid yes kept bothering me. How she knew the date before me. How easily Ryan asked his wife to stand aside for her sister. I opted not to watch from the sidelines. I was going to observe their rehearsals while the wife they were replacing was present. I helped them practice because I wanted to see their reactions when their fake wife entered and volunteered to join. I wanted to see them wiggle. I wanted Emma to feel guilty, Ryan to stutter, and them to understand how crazy this was. I arrived home early from work the next day to find them discussing their narrative in my living room. They hardly looked up when I replied, "I figured I could help give you feedback on what looks believable." Ryan said, "Sure, babe," and resumed Emma's conversation. I took the chair across from them and waited for the discomfort. It never did. They kept acting like I was part of the furniture in the house I paid for with my money while they contributed nothing. To Emma, Ryan replied, "Okay, so when they ask how we met, I'll say, I saw you across the room at a mutual friend's birthday party, and I knew right then I had to talk to you." My entire body stiffened. Ryan and I met that way. He approached me by the window and said I looked like I was planning my escape. I laughed and we spoke for 3 hours before he asked for my number. "Wait," I said, and they looked at me like I disrupted something essential. "That's our story. That's how you and I actually met the night that started our entire relationship." Ryan shrugged. "Exactly. I already know it by heart, so I won't mess up the details. Makes it easier. You want to use the story of how you met your wife to pretend you married someone else? You don't see anything wrong with that?" "Not really, it's practical." I faced Emma. "And you're okay with this? Pretending you had the night that I actually had? The night I've told you about a dozen times because I thought my sister would care about the most important moment of my life." Emma studied her nails. "I mean, it's not like you own a story, Sarah. Things happen to lots of people the same way. It's not that deep. It happened to me specifically with him, your brother-in-law, and now we're borrowing it for one night. You'll get it back." She stated I was hoarding a sweater. Ryan looked back at Emma as if the discussion ended. "So after the party, I texted you the next day and asked if you wanted to get coffee, and I said yes, but I made you wait 3 days before we actually went." Emma smiled at him. "Because I didn't want to seem too eager." "Yes, I did that. My roommate said 3 days was the minimum for not seeming desperate, so I had him wait." Emma remembered this story from years ago when I told her late at night thinking I was sharing something wonderful with my little sister. She was now reciting it to my husband as her own. "I told you that story in confidence," I told Emma when we were close, "and I thought you cared about my life." Ryan sighs loudly and faces me. "You know what this is really about? You're so used to being the boss at work that you can't let anyone else have anything without controlling it. Everything has to go through Sarah. Everything has to be approved by Sarah. We can't even have a conversation without you hovering over it like a manager. This isn't about control. This is about you giving away my memories." "See, there you go again. Memories, story, life." He shrugged. "Not everything belongs to you just because you were present for it. I was there too. It's my story as much as yours, and I can tell it however I want." Emma nodded. "He has a point. You can't copyright a relationship." I changed tactics. "Okay, well, what about the proposal? What are you going to say when people ask about that?" "Rooftop restaurant downtown," Ryan replied confidently. "I had the ring hidden in my jacket pocket all night and I was so nervous I could barely eat. Then after dessert, I got down on one knee and the whole restaurant clapped. My engagement, my proposal, the happiest night of my life reduced to a script for my sister to memorize." "That's literally what you did for me," I murmured, voice cracking in a manner I loathed. "That's my proposal." I cried. You cried. The waiter brought us free champagne. I called my mom from the restaurant because I couldn't wait to tell her. That memory is mine. Ryan. Ours. How can you just hand it to someone else? Ryan's face turned horrible. "You know what, Sarah? You've always been jealous of Emma. Ever since you were kids. She got more attention. She got more dates. She got more everything. And you've never gotten over it." He pointed to my sister. "This isn't about the reunion. This is about you still competing with her after 30 years. I'm not competing with anyone. I'm asking why my husband is teaching my sister how to be me. Because she's willing to help without making it a federal case." He softened toward Emma. Emma supported him by squeezing his arm. "It's okay, she doesn't get it." You think this is easy for me? Ryan said, feeling offended. I have to go back to these people and lie to their faces all night. I have to pretend my whole life turned out different than it did. But sure, let's focus on how hard this is for you. Let's make it about Sarah's feelings like we always do. I watched him. You created this situation. You're the one who lied for 8 years, and I'm trying to fix it without blowing up my entire social network. But you can't give me one night. After everything I do around here, you can't give me one single night without making it weird. 1. What exactly do you do around here? Lingered there. Ryan's jaw hardened, but Emma intervened. You return home from a difficult work to emotional support from him. He manages accomplishments like a resume. Not everything is about money, Sarah. I glanced at my house, furnishings and monthly utilities and internet bills. Ryan hadn't worked in 3 years. The last time he managed the house, he forgot to pay the water bill and we got a shut-off notice. I have talked to Mom about this, Emma replied nonchalantly. You'd definitely overreact. She finds it wonderful that Ryan cared enough about his friend's comments to continue the narrative. You talked to our mother about this before I even knew it was happening. I wanted advice. She understands. Why can't you? Ryan grabbed this quickly. Your mother understands. Your sister will assist. You are the only problem. He paused and cocked his head. What does that indicate? I had too many or no answers, and none were correct. Emma remarked, let's just keep practicing, dismissing me. We don't have that much time left. The house while you're working all the time. She cites his. Ryan recounted our first anniversary, our coast trip, and my lunch surprise at work to Emma. All my experiences, all memories I felt belonged to us. I tried to remind you that our anniversary restaurant was French, not Italian. Ryan interrupted me. He said, oh, here we go, in a vicious copy of mine. Actually, Ryan, that's not exactly right. Actually, Ryan, you're telling it wrong. Actually, Ryan, let me correct you in front of everyone like I always do. He stared at Emma, and they laughed at me at home. I was just helping you get the details right, I whispered. Emma responded, we don't need your help. Still smiling. We've got everything handled. Why not go work? Isn't that your specialty? I told myself to relax. My husband and sister were simply nervous about the reunion. I was being sensitive. After changing upstairs, I took 5 minutes to relax. I was halfway down the stairs when I heard Emma chuckle. It was quieter than her usual laugh, kind of private. Ryan was touching Emma's face as I paused on the landing and glanced through the railing. His thumb traced her cheekbone, and she leaned into it with her eyes half closed, their lips inches apart. They were going to kiss. My husband and sister in my living room. I must have made a sound since they leapt apart like a pistol. Emma turned red and Ryan raised his hands as they began chatting. Not what it looks like, Ryan remarked. We were just rehearsing, Emma added. In case anyone asks about us being affectionate. I stood on the stairs staring down at them and they panicked, trying to appear innocent. Right, I answered softly. Rehearsal. Relief spread across Ryan's face. Exactly. Our practice got out of hand. It meant nothing. Emma agreed swiftly. We must search together. It was nothing else. I went downstairs and sat in my chair, waiting to see what I would do. I did nothing. I let them believe I bought it because I wanted time to figure out what was going before I said anything I couldn't take back. I wasn't overreacting anymore. Something was amiss, and I wasn't going to let them match their tales or practice their excuses. Ryan first, while the fright was new. Then Emma, alone, without him to feed her lines. If none of them cracked, I'd locate someone who'd witnessed what I missed. Someone who owed him nothing and had no incentive to defend him. Tonight, the truth would emerge. After Emma departed an hour later, I followed Ryan upstairs silently as he brushed his teeth. Like I hadn't just seen him almost kiss my sister, like this was any other night in our marriage. When he came out, I went to the bedroom door. Move, he said. No. In 8 years of marriage, I'd never blocked a door or stood in his way. I'd always been accommodating, sensible, and simple to navigate. I'm exhausted, Sarah. Move. You won't sleep until you tell me about Emma. He laughed, but not funny. We said it was rehearsal. Understanding, you said. I lied. Nothing makes sense. Why did my hubby touch my sister's face? Why she was leaning into him like she'd done it 100 times is beyond me. Why did you two appear more comfortable together than with me in years? Ryan tried to walk around me, and I responded. His jaw clenched. You're nuts now. You know that? Your behavior is insane. Please explain so I can quit being insane. Tell me something sensible. I informed you. We practiced couple likeness. It was nothing else. Then why did you leap apart like I caught you doing something wrong? If that was practice, you'd chuckle. You wouldn't have panicked. He raised his hands. What should I say? That I'm sleeping with your sister? Should you hear that to justify your meltdown? Are you? This question hovered between us. Ryan and I gazed at each other for 3 seconds without breathing. I can't believe you'd even ask me that. His voice grew somber and pained, like I'd harmed him. After all these years together, after all we've established, you're going to accuse me of sleeping with Emma because we got too into character during a rehearsal? You didn't answer the question because the question is insane. He was shouting, but I didn't move. No, Sarah, I won't sleep with your sister. Happy? Now can I sleep? When he tried to push by me, I grabbed his arm and dug into his bicep. He stopped moving and stared down at my hand like he couldn't believe I was touching him without permission. Let go of me. Not until you look me in the eyes and tell me there's nothing between you two. He pulled his arm away and his countenance altered. His lip twisted up and his eyes got flat and frigid. He looked at me like I was glued to his shoe. Want to know our relationship? Relief. It is. Relief to spend time with someone who doesn't question my every breath. Relief that I'm with a woman that makes me feel wonderful instead of like a failure every day. I have never called you a failure. You needn't. In whatever you do. How you groan when paying bills. How you mention work every 5 minutes. You treat me like a problem you're too exhausted to fix. He approached and lowered his voice. Emma doesn't stare at me. Emma considers me valuable. Emma's not paying yours. There it is. You associate everything with money. You must remind me that you have the checkbook every time we talk. I'm reminding you that I'm the one with the checkbook because you seem to have forgotten who funds your life while you spend your days rehearsing romance with my sister. Ryan's jaw was narrow and rigid and his nostrils flared. What? No more. Maybe we shouldn't be married if you can't trust me after 8 years. His threat was delivered. He knew I'd avoided nuclear weapons my whole marriage. Do you want that? I said. No divorce? I want a woman who doesn't suspect me. If you can't be that, maybe divorce is what I desire. His thrust past me was allowed this time. He took a pillow and blanket from the closet and left without looking back. Even in a fight he couldn't spend 5 minutes without a screen, so I heard him run downstairs, throw himself on the sofa, and switch on the TV. In our bedroom doorway, I noticed something important. He hadn't denied anything. He'd shouted, evaded, and threatened divorce. He couldn't look me in the eyes and say there was nothing between him and Emma because there was. I grabbed my keys and pocketbook and left the front door without notifying him. He didn't question or glance up from the TV. The Emma's flat was 20 minutes distant. The route was familiar because I'd driven there dozens of times with groceries when she said she couldn't afford food, furniture when she said her place looked too empty, and a security deposit check when she first moved in because she'd spent her savings on a trip to Cabo with friends. 2 years ago she contacted me weeping about being homeless. I co-signed her lease. I paid her security deposit and set up automatic rent transfers because money stressed her greatly. I totaled it up once and stopped because it made me sick. 2 years, $18,000, plus her vehicle insurance, phone bill, and periodic checks when she indicated she was suffering. Every hour I worked to pay her debts was an hour she spent with Ryan at home. I parked in front of her building and ascended 2 steps at a time, despite it being after 11 p.m. I hammered on her door loud enough that her neighbor opened theirs to investigate. Emma, open the door now. Steps and her frightened voice came from within. Sarah, why are you here? Open the door or I'll keep knocking until someone calls the cops. The latch clicked and the door opened 3 inches, revealing Emma's pale, worried face. It's late. Can we chat tomorrow? No? I pushed the door hard and she staggered backward inside the flat I sponsored. We're talking right now. You can't just barge in here. I fund your rent, can do whatever I want. I stared at the furniture I helped her choose, the TV I got her for Christmas, and the couch where she undoubtedly texted my husband as I worked to pay for everything. How long? Emma hugged herself. How long? What? Try not to fool me. How long have you slept with Ryan? I'm not sleeping with Ryan, I said rehearsal. Why not trust me? Because I saw your expression when he touched you. I observed its naturalness. Emma, it wasn't acting. That was muscle memory. You did that so often your body performed it automatically. You're imagining things. Am I? Why do you know so much about my husband? Why do you two have inside jokes I seldom hear? Justify his greater defense of you than of me. Emma glanced at her phone on the counter for Ryan's advice. He won't save you, I responded. I left him on the couch. Just you and me. Sisters together. Tell me truth. There's nothing to tell. Fine, then tell me this. I approached and saw her retreat. What's his left hip's birthmark? Emma's face blanched. When she neglected to lie, I saw the answer in her eyes before she covered it up. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. So, you know what I mean because you saw it. You touched. You're near enough to my husband's body to know his wife-only secrets. He showed me a picture. Was a joke. Ryan has never photographed that birthmark. He feels self-conscious. He scarcely lets me see. But you know what it looks like because you've been in bed with him. I chuckled and thought that was crazy. Emma, how long? In my paid flat. How long have you slept with my husband? She remained silent. She stood there with her arms about herself, tears forming in her eyes. Tears she'd used 100 times to get out of trouble. The same act she'd run since we were youngsters. I'm done, I said. Rent stops today. Your auto insurance ends today. Everything I've paid for ends today. You want my husband? Fine. But you'll do it without my money. Sarah, wait. No cutting me off. I have nowhere to go. Should have thought about that before you decided to destroy my marriage. I left and slammed the door, shaking so violently I couldn't grip my keys. I sat in my car for 5 minutes, breathing, trying to digest what I'd confirmed. My husband, my sister in my house, on my money, behind my back, and they wanted me to remain home while they acted happy couple at his reunion. I realized Ryan wanted my sister as his false wife. Fine. I'd then date his brother Jackson, who'd done everything right while Ryan floated through life on charm and other people's money. Jackson had started his own business at 25 and owned his house. Ryan had turned down his 3 job offers because he couldn't work for his brother. Ryan couldn't handle being around someone who made him seem horrible just by existing, so they seldom spoke anymore. Jackson only came to Christmas and Thanksgiving, but he was always kind to me at family functions, so I went through with it. I'd go into that reunion on Jackson's arm and watch Ryan's expression as he saw his wife with the one person he could never measure up to. I discovered Jackson's number on my phone. I gazed at the computer for a while before typing. Hi Jackson. She's Sarah. This is weird, but I need a favor. A large one. Can we meet tomorrow? Please don't tell Ryan I called. After a minute or two my phone buzzed as I was starting the car. Is everything okay? Typed. No. That's why I need your help. 3 dots appeared, then he said to meet for coffee next morning. Jackson met me at the coffee shop the next morning and listened without interrupting. He didn't call me insane thereafter. Instead of making excuses for his brother, he asked what I needed, which was simple. Ryan had spent 8 years making me feel invisible and months sneaking around with my sister while I paid for their lives. Now I was going to make him feel paranoid, jealous, and desperate for answers he wouldn't get. Jackson was glad to help. Ryan entered the bathroom doorway the next morning as I applied mascara. You're up early. He examined my clothes and jewelry, which I no longer wore. Where are you going? Coffee with Jackson. His body stiffened at the name's impact. Jackson was the only person in the world who made Ryan feel like nothing. Their parents had compared them for 30 years, and Ryan lost every time. Jackson built a company while Ryan didn't work, and Jackson owned his house while Ryan lived in mine. Every family dinner reminded him he was the disappointment, and he hated his brother for it since they were kids. Cancel it. I resumed applying mascara. He entered the bathroom and snatched my phone off the counter before I could stop him. His number? I'll cancel it myself. Give me my phone, Ryan. Or? He raised it above his head like we were kids battling over toys. How will you handle it? I put my mascara down and stared at him. This man I'd devoted 8 years to, who couldn't even drink coffee without a tantrum. I'm leaving this house. Meeting your brother. When I return, you'll give me my phone and apologize for acting like a child. Grab my keys from the counter. Keep the phone, I'll acquire another. He lowered his arm. Sarah, wait. Jackson was already at the coffee shop when I arrived. He up when he saw me and drew me into a lengthy hug. He smelt nice and clean, unlike Ryan's awful perfume that had hurt my nose for a decade. You okay? Are you upset? He said as we sat down. Your brother kidnapped my phone because I wanted coffee with you. Jackson clenched her jaw. That sounds like him. Does? Because I believed my husband was sensible for 8 years. It turns out I married a child who throws fits when he doesn't get his way. He's always been that way. He first conceals it effectively. Jackson moved a coffee across the table. I ordered your regular. I hope that's acceptable. How do you know my norm? You've ordered the same item at every family event for 5 years. Oat milk, vanilla latte, extra shot. Shrugging. I pay attention. After 8 years of marriage, Ryan still asked me for my coffee order, like it wouldn't stay. Jackson heard everything. The proposal, the nearly kiss on the couch, the birthmark slip, and Ryan gaslighting me for months while taking advantage of my sister. When I finished, my coffee was cold and my voice hoarse. I want him to feel what I felt, I replied. Paranoid, jealous, mad, wondering what's happening. How I need you. Take me to supper. Text me when he watches. Wonder him. Jackson paused, his thumb drawing circles on my hand. He responded, I'm in. Whatever you need. Ryan was sitting in the dark living room like a horror movie villain when I arrived home 3 hours later. 3 hours. Flat voice. 3-hour absence. We discussed a lot. About what? About me? How bad I am? Not everything is about you, Ryan. I extended my hand. Phone. He took it from his pocket and flung it at me. I caught it on my chest. Your lovely phone. Check messages. Jackson has probably been messaging you non-stop like a desperate loser. The only desperate person in this room is you. I moved past him to the stairs, taking a shower. Avoid meltdowns while I'm away. Our first supper with Jackson was Friday. I donned the black dress Ryan claimed was too much for a Tuesday and did my hair as I used to. When I walked downstairs, Ryan sprang up so fast his chair tumbled over. No, absolutely not. Yes, the answer is yes. You're not leaving this house dressed like that to meet my brother. Watch me. Strongly grasped my arm. I expected bruises tomorrow from the hardness. I said no. And I said yes. Release me. Make me. I stared at his hand on my arm, then at his face, and yelled loudly, perhaps reaching the neighbors. He released instantaneously. The heck is wrong with you? Nothing. I wanted to test your release speed if someone would hear. Smoothed my dress. Now you know. I know how to manage you now. Jackson's headlights illuminated the window. I left without looking back. The conversation, Jackson asking about my job and listening, was amazing. He recalled information from years ago that Ryan had never learned. He stared at me like I was worth seeing. Friday again? He inquired when he dropped me off. Friday again. The second evening was better. We spoke about everything and nothing until he kissed my cheek and I felt it for hours. The third supper altered everything. I expected Ryan to pace, sulk or throw things when I got home at midnight. Instead, I found him on the couch with Emma nestled up next him. It was common to watch a movie with her shoes off and head on his shoulder. Oh hey, Ryan ignored me. How was your date? Standing at the doorway I tried to absorb what I saw. Why is she here? Emma? She came over to keep me company since my wife is never home anymore. Emma stared at me with a smug smirk that made me want to cross the room and smack it off. You don't mind? She asked. Ryan was lonely. I thought someone should help him since you're usually with Jackson. Get out of my house. Excuse me? You heard me, get out. You can't kick me out, Emma laughed. Ryan owns this house. It's not. The deed doesn't mention him. Not his name on the mortgage. His name isn't on anything because he hasn't worked in 3 years. I dropped my handbag on the table. I'll repeat, get out of my house. Finally Ryan stood. Don't talk to her like that. Like what? Like she's the woman sleeping with my husband. Nobody's sleeping with anybody. His presence between Emma and me seemed protective. We're just pals. You and Jackson are pals, right? Hypocrisy was thick enough to taste. Really doing this now? After everything you said to me about Jackson, after grabbing me and screaming at me and calling me desperate, that was different. How? How is this different? Because I'm not trying to hurt you. He approached. I've done everything to defend our marriage. You're roaming around with my brother to disgrace me. Protecting our marriage? A chuckle. Rehearsing your fake wedding with my sister using our proposal story. Almost kissing her on our couch? Emma got up from the couch. That's not what happened. Really? I witnessed it, Emma. That corridor I saw him lean for you like a magnet, unable to resist. You're overdramatic. It was practice. The rehearsal for what? Last I looked, couples only almost kiss during rehearsal if they want to. Maybe if you paid more attention to your spouse, he wouldn't need to practice with others. Emma's eyes were stern. No sisterly love or guilt. She felt frigid satisfaction at finally uttering what she was thinking. There it is. I nodded slowly. You actually think that, right? This is my fault. I drove him to you. I didn't say that. You just did. Ryan gently stroked Emma's arm, as he used to do before he started pretending I mattered. Sarah, you need to calm down. Don't tell me to relax. You brought my sister into our house to make me jealous, and now you're clutching her arm like a victim. Looked between them. How long? How long? What? How long have you slept together? Tell me the truth. I know about the birthmark. Emma paled. Ryan glanced at the floor. That's what I thought. I took my handbag off the table. Sleeping in the guest room tonight. Tomorrow morning, she better be gone. You can't just kick her out. I can do whatever I want, Ryan added. My house, remember? Emma's words stopped me from climbing the stairs. Don't you believe you're superior than everyone? The wealthy attorney with the beautiful house and fancy job. Her voice was quivering with wrath. You've always judged me, always made me feel inferior. I turned slowly. Emma, I paid your rent for 2 years. I paid your phone and auto insurance. You stated you were suffering, so I gave you $2,500 last Christmas. I approached. And the whole time you were sleeping with my husband and laughing at me behind my back. I wasn't laughing. What were you doing? The way I see it, you took all I gave you and stole my life. I didn't steal anything. You were never going to lose him. Cracked voice. He would always stay with you. Money, house, stability. That's his wish. I was his true love. I stopped caring if Ryan loved me, so the confession hit me like a truck. I just wanted him to pay for what he'd done. Loved. I repeated to her. Past tense. Emma blinks. What? You said loved, not loves. Loved. I regarded Ryan. Is that true? Did you adore her? He opened, closed, and reopened his mouth without speaking. Ryan. Now Emma's voice sounded low. Tell her. I don't know what you want me to say. Tell her you love me. Tell her I'm not a mistake. Tell her what you told me alone. Ryan nervously ran his fingers through his hair when cornered. Emma, this isn't the time. When's the time? She knows. Everyone knows. Emma grabbed his arm. Tell her. Pulling away from her. I need some air. Emma stood in my living room crying after he left via the back door and into the yard. He loves me, she muttered. He told me he loves me. Men say a lot of things, Emma. Especially when they want something. I saw her shatter when she realized she would never be his wife. That she had sacrificed her sister for a man who couldn't declare he loved her. How does it feel to realize you were just another woman? That's not what I was. You were precisely that. My fascinating secret, forbidden fruit, and reason he could accept marriage. Grab my purse. Secrets don't last forever. Now he must pick. Do you believe he'll choose you above everything I offer? Emma cried while I went upstairs to the guest room, not responding. I texted Jackson on my phone. She was here when I got home, curled up with him on the couch like she belonged there. Response time was seconds. Are you okay? Better than fine. He revealed me his true self. She recognized she would never win. What happened? She claimed he loved her. He couldn't respond. Left her weeping in the room and left. He's a coward. He's worse than a coward. He destroys everyone around him attempting to figure out what he wants. Dinner tomorrow. I grinned at my phone in the dark guest room. I heard Emma's car starting in the driveway, Ryan's footsteps on the back porch, and his muted shout as she drove away. Pick me up at 7, I said. Thank you, Jackson, for being the one nice thing. Always. Ryan called Emma and asked her to return within 48 hours, assuring that everything would change and that the reunion would show how much he cared. He believed I didn't spot her car parked 2 blocks away when she crept in via the back while they fixed things. He believed he was smart, as did they. The reunion was tomorrow night and they had their plan, tale, and matching clothing. But they didn't realize that I had a plan that would destroy theirs. 2 days later, while folding laundry, I heard Ryan's voice from the backyard and peered out the window to see him walking by the fence with his phone. I realized my error. No, I harmed you. Emma, please, I need you during the 5-day reunion. Pause. Only you understands. Since I adore you. She was weeping in our living room, so I was too terrified to say anything. He held it until the phone call when he believed no one was listening. "I'll pick you up at 6 Friday night. Wear the green outfit we chose." Another pause, then quieter. "Promised will be different this time. Everything changes after reunion. You'll see." They hung up, and I backed back from the window before he could glance up. My hands hadn't shook in weeks. Something cold and patient and ready had hardened inside me since that night I drove away weeping. Texted Jackson on my phone. They reconciled. Just told her he loves her. Response time was seconds. "Are you okay?" "I'm perfect. We reunite Friday. Pick me up at 7. The plan?" Smiled at my phone. "You'll see." Friday came quickly. I got my hair done at Ryan's pricey salon in the afternoon. Nails painted the red he said was too bold. Professional makeup because tonight I wasn't just showing up. I was making an entrance. The dress was new, black, cut low enough to turn heads and high enough to stay classy. I bought it with the credit card Ryan didn't know existed. Jackson brought me up at 7, charcoal suit, immaculate hair, and made other guys feel tiny just by being there. When I opened the door, he cautiously inspected me. "You look incredible." "I know." Chandeliers, valet parking, waiters with champagne on silver trays. I snatched my handbag from the table to attend a downtown hotel reunion party. The mass of Ryan's old classmates in their finest clothing tried to prove the previous 8 years had been kind via the windows. "Are you sure?" Jackson questioned the valet as he gave him his keys. "I've never been more sure of anything." We entered with his hand on my back and my chin up. The room was full of strangers telling stories about my husband, the confident, popular person who had everything sorted out, the man who married Emma and lived happily ever after. I saw them before they saw me. The anniversary outfit I purchased Ryan. Emma in the green dress they'd practiced, holding his arm and laughing at one of his friends. Playing the ideal wife. Exactly like in my living room. Ryan glanced up and showed 5 emotions in 2 seconds. Confusion, recognition, terror, panic, and finally dread as he saw who was next to me. "Sarah." His voice broke my name. "Hey honey." The room saw my big smile. "Surprised?" The throng quieted and turned to see. Dry grass caught fire with whispers. "Why are you here?" Ryan scarcely spoke. "I meet my husband's old pals. Don't wives do that during reunions?" I regarded Emma. "I'm sorry. Did I interrupt?" Emma was pale and stared at Jackson like a ghost. "Who's this?" Ryan's pal spoke forward. Big guy with a welcoming smile, unaware of the bombing. "I doubt we've met. My name is Sarah. Wife of Ryan. Real wife. He's married for 8 years. Friends' smiles faded. I thought Emma was his wife. "That's funny because Emma is my sister and she's been sleeping with my husband for the past year while I paid her rent." Whispers became gasps. Ryan grabbed my arm to draw me away from the crowd. "Sarah, stop. Shame on you." "No." I released my arm. "I humiliate you. Differences exist." "Who's he?" Another friend pointed to Jackson. "Why is he here?" "This is Jackson, Ryan's bro, one who succeeds. Your acquaintance has envied this one since childhood." I regarded Ryan. Should I explain your hatred of him? Should I let them decide? "Sarah, please," Ryan pleaded. "Can we discuss this privately?" "Private? You lied to them for 8 years. You said you married the prettier sister. You said Emma was your wife. Use our proposal tale for her." I faced the audience. "Who wants to see our wedding photos, since I have them on my phone?" Hands raised, people gathered. I displayed photo after photo of me in the white dress, Ryan at the altar, and me cutting the cake with Emma as a bridesmaid. "That's Emma." I looked at it. The woman he's been parading around tonight as his wife, my sister, my maid of honor, the woman I trusted more than anyone in the world. Emma eventually spoke. "Sarah, this isn't what it looks like." "Really? You appear to be wearing the outfit you practiced in my living room. Maybe you're gripping my husband's arm. You probably came here tonight to impersonate me." I approached her. "Emma, how does it feel to obtain what you want and have it backfire?" "I never wanted to hurt you." "What did you want?" "From here, it appears like you wanted my husband, life and proposal story." "I owned everything." "He said you disdained him." "I was informed your marriage ended." "I was informed you were remaining together for convenience." "You believed him?" A chuckle. The jobless man. The man who drives my car and lives in my house hasn't paid a bill in 3 years. That's the man you trusted to be honest about our marriage. Emma watched Ryan, expecting for him to protect her, say anything, or act. He didn't, Ryan. Her voice was weak. Tell them. Ryan. Tell them what you told me. His anxious fingers raced through his hair, a coward's indication. I think we should all just calm down. Calm down? Emma's voice raised. You declared your love. After our reunion, you said everything would change. You promised we'd be together. This captivated the crowd, who recorded on their phones. Everyone watched Ryan's meticulously prepared deception crumble in real time. Is that true? Big nice guy moved forward again. You said you and Emma were married for 8 years, Ryan. You displayed images. You mentioned your honeymoon. I can explain. Then explain. I crossed arms. Tell your buddies why you lied. Explain why your wife is with your brother while your mistress wearing the dress you chose together. Why are you such a coward that you can't tell high school friends the truth? Ryan opened, closed and reopened his mouth without speaking. Jackson approached and grabbed my back. I think we're done here. Almost. I took the envelope from my handbag, which I had carried all night. One more thing. I gave Ryan it. He watched it like it would bite. What's this? Open it. His hands trembled as he tore the envelope, removed the papers and read the first sentence. His face grayed. Divorce papers. I grinned. My lawyer drew them last week. 30 days to answer. Sarah, wait. We can resolve this. Counseling is available. We can. No. I ended. No, I don't want to work things out. I refuse therapy. I won't spend another minute with a man who said he married the prettier sister while I paid for his every possession. To Emma I said, I hope he was worth it because you just lost your sister, your rent payments, your car insurance, everything I gave you because I thought family meant something. Shaking my head. Good luck figuring out how to survive without me. Jackson held my hand as we approached the entrance. No one opposed us or protected Ryan as the crowd divided. They saw him lose everything. I looked back at the door one final time. Ryan held the divorce papers while Emma cried. Friends looked at him as they'd never seen him before. By the way, I said. My name is on the home. As is the automobile. Everything is. Take your stuff out before the end of the month. I left in the cold night air with Jackson. The valet turned the car around, and Jackson opened my door and I got into the passenger seat. Your mood? He inquired as we left the motel. Watching the structure diminish in the side mirror, I thought about all I'd done. Everything I'd destroyed and wanted to build. I responded, I feel free. I observed Ryan put boxes into a rental truck from the bedroom window 3 weeks later during his move. After the reunion, most of his friends stopped returning his calls, leaving him alone in the driveway with the fragments of a life he'd spent 8 years pretending to deserve. Knocked the door before leaving. I opened but didn't allow him in. He said, I just wanted to say goodbye. With red eyes and a lack of sleep. I'm sorry for everything. That's all. Just fine. What should I say, Ryan? I'll forgive you? That I wish you joy? Leaning on the door frame. I don't. I hope you always remember what you threw away. I hope you hear a voice telling you that you don't deserve wonderful things every time they come your way. He recoiled like I struck him. You've changed. No, I just stopped pretending to be someone I'm not so you could feel better about yourself. I backed up and touched the door. Goodbye, Ryan. I closed it before he replied. Emma contacted me twice that first week and left voicemails asking if we could talk, if we could mend things, and if I could keep paying her rent until she worked things out. I didn't answer. Without listening past the first few words, I erased them. She arrived at my door a month later. I didn't open the peephole despite her 10-minute banging and yelling my name before she went. 2 months later, I learned via a relative that she and Ryan had moved into a tiny apartment on the poor side of town to make it work. Ryan earned $12 per hour in a warehouse. Emma worked at a restaurant where tips barely paid petrol. The ideal life they practiced in my living room became shouting battles about expenses and who bought food. They split up before signing the lease. Emma rejoined our parents. Ryan vanished untraced. Slowly, Jackson and I transformed dinners into weekends. Weekends ended in travels. I finally went to Italy, my dream trip. We never mentioned Ryan while eating spaghetti and sipping wine for 2 weeks. Jackson invited me to live with him 6 months after the reconciliation. I accepted without hesitation since I knew he wanted me.